Okay, today we're going to be talking about angles that are cut by a transversal and the angle relationships within that picture. So if you remember parallel lines are two lines that never intersect. So I always think of railroad tracks. It's the lines that are going to be next to each other, but they never meet. And the symbol for parallel lines is here, two little parallel signs next to each other. So line A is parallel to line B in this picture. A transversal is a line that intersects two parallel lines. So if you look at this picture up here, we can see that this line is parallel to this line, and it's cut through by a transversal. Vertical angles are formed when two lines intersect the opposite angles are vertical. Vertical angles are congruent. Which also means equal. So if we have two lines that intersect each other, an example of vertical angles would be measure of angle 1 and 2, and they would be equal to each other. Corresponding angles are angles in the same position on parallel lines, or on the parallel line, in relation to the transversal. Corresponding angles are also congruent. So for example, if I have two parallel lines that are cut through by a transversal, this angle would correspond with this angle. They're in the same place on the parallel line. Another example would be this angle with this angle. Those angles correspond and therefore would be equal to each other. So up here, I would say angle 1, and this is the symbol for corresponds to angle 5. Angle 3 corresponds to angle 7. Angle 2 corresponds to angle 6, and angle 4 corresponds to angle 8. Okay, so keeping that in mind, let's turn it over and try a practice problem. Okay, so right here I have 135 degrees, and I want to fill in all the missing measure angles just using that piece of information. So I know that this measure corresponds to angle 1. So I know angle 1 must also be 135 degrees. Now I also know that the measure of this angle and angle 6 are supplementary angles because they are forming a straight line together. So the measure of angle 6 must be 45 degrees because 45 plus 135 makes 180. And this measure and this measure correspond to each other, therefore they're equal. And I know that these are vertical. so they can be equal. And these are vertical, so they're also equal. So I'm just kind of filling in the missing measures using angle relationships. Now I know 5 and 2 are corresponding, so they are equal. And I know 1 and 3 are vertical, so they're equal. I also know 7 and 3 are corresponding, and that would give me the same answer. So go ahead and take a few minutes to do the rest of the worksheet to find the missing angles.